told the Jerusalem Post that Trump's loss would not be a factor in deciding when Netanyahu would initiate the election. I don't think that would be a relevant consideration. Having said, this relates to the Jerusalem Post. This is November 5th. This article here. One of the brothers did a lesson on this. This is Jerusalem Post. It's November 5th, 2000.
Shalom. Foremost, I want to start out by giving all praise to Yahweh, B'Shem Yahshua, B'Shem Rakadash. Salutation to the elders and apostles of GMS groups and ones that like teach 100% truth. Shalom, Brakathon to them for their edification and knowledge. And double honors to the elders and apostles of GMS groups and ones that like teach 100% truth. Shalom, Brakathon to them. Foremost, give all praise to Yahweh, B'Shem Yahshua, B'Shem Rakadash. That was an article relating to Jerusalem Post, talking about Israeli minister warned if Biden returns to the Iran deal, that confrontations between Israel and Iran could ensue. Forgive thee of the sound relating to and the blurriness, because it's very windy. It's a little windy out here. I want to get to some scriptures. Shalaki on that. We'll go to Joel 3. $4.75. This is Joel. Let's start off from the top. For behold, in those days, in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem. So they're going to be redeemed back again, because they relate to Jeremiah 50 and 33. They're in captivity to one of the most parts of the northern part of the earth, which is here, America. Even though they scatter all four corners of the earth, relating to Deuteronomy 28:64, but the majority of them is here in America, man. And that relates to the northern and southern tribe. I will also gather all nations, and will bring them down to the valley of Jehoshaphat, which is Yahweh Shaphat, which means he has judged, and relates to the valley of decision, and he will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage, Israel. Heritage is, they remember they are people before they're a place. The heritage race to who they are and where they come from. Whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. They parted the land because they were exiled, 70 AD, scattered like Western Africa and scattered all four corners of the earth, relating to Deuteronomy 28:64. So they parted the land because of their disobedience to the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Yahshua, man. As a form of punishment. Baruch 4 and 6, man. I will scatter thee among the nations, not for your destruction, because you moved the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Yahshua to wrath, and you were sold to thy enemies. Paraphrase, and that's Baruch 4 and 6, man. That's because their disobedience to the Lord, man. So this is a form of punishment. But in the end times, Baruch 2 and 37, they begin. Baruch's second chapter, relating to the latter part verses, talks about during their captivity they begin to remember themselves, you know what I mean? So they begin to remember, relating to as their fathers did. They remember pretty much beginning to rehearse the righteous acts, man. Come back into the ways of the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Yahshua, man. And ultimately, a small remnant will be redeemed back into the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Yahshua, man. That's that small remnant. Remnant is a small amount. Let's go it again. I will also gather all nations and bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom I have scattered among the nations and part of my land. And they have cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for an harlot, and sold a girl for wine, that they might drink. That's the things they have done to relating to the nation of Israel historically. You know what I mean? Various things. Slavery is the biggest one. You know what I mean? And the things that went with it, relating to the abominable things and wicked things that can't be described. Let's go to number 6. The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold into the Grecians, which are Edomites, Greek for Edomites, Idumea, Edomites, that ye might remove them far from the border, man. Behold, I will raise them out of the place whither ye have sold them, and will return recompense upon your own head. So the things that recompense relates to the judgment that's going to happen upon the nations, the other nations, because they touched the apple of the Lord's eye, man. That's the judgment that's going to come upon them. Number 10, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Now, plowshares and pruning hooks relates to agricultural equipment. Now, relating to the swords and the spears, obviously weapons of war, weapons used in warfare. We'll read it again. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Now, that relates to the nations building up, becoming stronger. Man. These other nations, man. For example, India, China, Russia, these other nations, man. These other nations that are potentially could be nuclear capable, and they're building strong. They're becoming stronger, so they're no longer saying that I'm weak. In Turkey and various other nations. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause the mighty ones to come down, O Lord, right, to these nations. Let the heathen be awakened. Come into the valley of Jehoshaphat. That's the relates to the land of the valley of decision, man. Relating to around the Euphrates area, man. Middle East area. And all those nations be gathered ultimately to take on the Lord. Related to 2nd Ezra 11, 2nd Ezra 13. The man from the sea, the vision of the eagle, the lion roused from the forest, man. That relates to Yahushua, man. The vision of the eagle represents Rome, man. These nations, man. Start EU, America, NATO, man. Assemble yourselves and come all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause the mighty ones to come down, O Lord. I read it again, I'll read it. Number 12. Let the heathen be awakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, for there will I sit to judge all the heathens round about. Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. So it relates to is ready for judgment, man. Get you down, for the press is full and the fast overflow, ready to the blood. For their wickedness is great. So that relates to that big judgment, man, relating to upon these nations. And ultimately, the biggest sacrifice that's going to be on that altar relates to Babylon, man. So that's going to be the biggest sacrifice relating to that altar, man. Multitudes, and number 14, multitudes in the valley of decision. For the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision. The sun and the moon shall be shaken, and the stars will draw their shining. That's the things that's going to be happening in the latter times. The moon is no longer going to be shining. The sun is going to be dark as sackcloth, relating to scriptures. Revelations talks about some of the things that's going to be happening. There's going to be pain, darkness. Euphrates is going to dry up. The wormwood relates to contamination, radiation upon the water, which is not going to be drinkable. And different other various plagues is going to happen, man. The ones who take the mark of the beast relating to, there will be sores upon the ones who took the relating to the mark of the beast. All these in Revelations. And 16, the Lord also shall roar out of Zion and utter his voice from Jerusalem, and the heavens and the earth shall shake. And that's another thing. The earth is going to move to and fro, literally out of its axis, man. From the earthquakes, also Leviathan, to execute judgment upon the inhabitants of the earth. He's an infallible things that can be measured in the water, beyond what ships and submarines can go to, without being squeezed like a pressure cooker. Read that again, 16. The Lord also shall roar out of Zion and utter his voice from Jerusalem, and the heavens and the earth shall shake. But the Lord will be the hope of his people and the strength of the children of Israel, man. So the nation of Israel, like they're going to be redeemed back to the Lord, man. That remnant. So the Lord is going to have mercies upon Israel, so that remnant upon Israel, the nation of Israel. This relates to also this chapter, talking about these nations gathering, also restoration of Israel, their remnant. Chapter 2, Joel 2, it talks about the invaders of the north, which are these nations. They're going to gather relating to against Yahweh ultimately. That being said, this was something related to that article. Hope it benefited whoever listened. The water for listening. Give all praise to Yahweh Shem Yahshua Bashem Rakadash. Shalom.